The small train station was full of people that morning. Suitcases rolled across the wooden floor. Steam from the train slowly filled the cold air. In the middle of the crowd stood Emily, wearing a simple white wedding dress. Her eyes were red. Just an hour earlier, her fiancé had left her. He said he wasn't ready for marriage. Now Emily stood alone at the station, holding a small suitcase, not knowing where to go. The train whistle echoed loudly. She wiped her tears and walked toward the platform. But suddenly, a deep voice spoke behind her. "Excuse me." Emily turned. A tall cowboy stood there. He wore a dark coat and a wide hat. His boots were dusty from travel. Behind him stood two small children, twin boys holding his hands. They looked about 5 years old. The cowboy looked nervous, something unusual for a man who clearly looked strong and confident. He spoke again, slowly. "Please, come with me." Emily blinked in confusion. "What?" The cowboy looked at the twins, then back at her. "My twins need a mother." Emily stared at him in shock. "Excuse me?" The cowboy sighed softly. "My name is Daniel Carter," he said. "I know this sounds crazy." The twins looked up at Emily with hopeful eyes. One of them spoke quietly. "Are you our new mommy?" Emily's heart suddenly tightened. She looked at the children, then at the cowboy again. "Why would you ask a stranger something like that?" Daniel looked down for a moment. "My wife passed away last year," he said quietly. "I tried raising them alone, but they miss having a mother." The train whistle blew again. Emily felt her chest tighten. Just an hour ago, she had lost her future, and now a stranger was asking her to start a completely new one. Daniel spoke again. "You don't have to decide now." He gently held out a small card. "My ranch is outside Silver Creek." Then he turned and began walking away with the twins. But before he reached the train door, Emily suddenly spoke. "Wait!" Daniel stopped. She walked closer slowly. The twins looked up at her again. Emily took a deep breath. "Why me?" Daniel smiled slightly. "Because when my boys saw you on the platform, they said you looked kind." The twins nodded. "You look like sunshine," one of them said. Emily felt tears in her eyes again. But this time, they were different tears. The train doors began closing, and Emily realized something surprising. Maybe this wasn't the end of her story. Maybe it was the beginning of something she never expected. The train slowly disappeared down the tracks. Emily stood on the platform, holding the small card Daniel had given her. Carter Ranch, Silver Creek. She looked at the card again. Her life had just fallen apart, and yet a strange new door had opened. For a long moment she stood there thinking. Then finally she whispered to herself, "Maybe I should at least see the place." The journey to Silver Creek. The next morning, Emily took a small bus towards Silver Creek Valley. The road stretched through wide open fields and rolling hills. Soon she saw something that made her eyes widen. Far in the distance stood a massive ranch. Wooden fences stretched across the land. Dozens of horses ran across the fields. Workers moved around the barns. It looked less like a ranch and more like a small kingdom. The driver smiled. "First time seeing Carter Ranch?" Emily nodded. "It's famous around here," the driver said. "Daniel Carter built it from nothing." The twins' surprise. When Emily stepped through the ranch gate, she heard excited voices. "Look!" The twins ran across the yard. "Dad, she came back!" Daniel walked out of the barn and froze for a second. He clearly didn't expect her to come. "You actually came," he said quietly. Emily nodded. "I just wanted to talk." The twins ran to her happily. One of them grabbed her hand. "Can we show you our horses?" Daniel laughed softly. "Give her a minute, boys." The secret of the ranch. Later that evening, they sat on the wooden porch of the ranch house. The sunset painted the sky orange and pink. Emily looked around the massive property. "You said you were just a cowboy." Daniel smiled. "I am." She raised an eyebrow. "With a ranch this big?" Daniel looked at the fields for a moment. "My father started it," he said. "I just kept building it." Emily looked at the twins playing nearby. "They seem really happy." "They are," Daniel said. Then his voice became softer. "But they still miss their mother." Emily hesitated. "Why did you really ask me at the station?" Daniel looked down at his hands. Then he told her the truth. "The boys haven't smiled like that since their mom died." Emily felt her heart tighten. "They smiled the moment they saw you." The ranch mystery. Just then a ranch worker ran toward them. "Mr. Carter!" Daniel stood up quickly. "What is it?" "The north fence is broken again, and 3 horses are missing." Daniel's expression suddenly changed. "That's the 3rd time this month," he said quietly. Emily noticed the tension in his voice. "What's going on?" Daniel looked toward the dark hills beyond the ranch. "Someone is trying to destroy this ranch." The wind moved across the fields, and far in the distance, a shadow moved near the fence line. Someone was watching the ranch. And the real trouble was just beginning. The night at Carter Ranch had become strangely quiet. Emily stood on the porch looking toward the dark fields. Earlier that evening, one of Daniel's workers had reported that 3 horses were missing and the north fence had been cut again. It was not an accident. Someone was trying to cause trouble. Daniel grabbed his lantern and saddle. "I need to check the north field," he said. Emily looked worried. "Is it dangerous?" Daniel gave a calm smile. "Don't worry. Stay here with the boys." The twins ran to him. "Dad, be careful." Daniel gently placed his hat on one of their heads. "I always am." Then he rode off into the darkness, a strange shadow. Inside the ranch house, Emily helped the twins get ready for bed. But something didn't feel right. The wind outside had suddenly become stronger. The wooden barn doors creaked loudly. Emily walked to the window and looked outside. For a moment, she thought she saw someone moving near the stables. Her heart started beating faster. "Maybe it's just one of the workers," she whispered to herself. But the ranch workers had already gone home. The truth in the dark. At the north field, Daniel found the broken fence. The wire had been cut cleanly with tools. Not an animal, not an accident. He followed the horse tracks through the grass. Then suddenly he heard something behind him. Footsteps. Daniel quickly turned. A man stepped out of the shadows. Tall. Wearing a black coat. Daniel's eyes narrowed. Victor Hayes. The man smiled coldly. "Hello, Daniel." Victor Hayes was a wealthy landowner who had tried for years to buy Carter Ranch. But Daniel had always refused. Victor spoke calmly. "You should have sold the ranch when I offered." Daniel crossed his arms. "So this is your way of convincing me?" Victor looked toward the dark fields. "This land will be mine eventually." Then he turned and disappeared into the night. Danger at the ranch. Back at the house, Emily heard a loud noise outside. The night after the trouble at the ranch felt long and quiet. Emily sat near the kitchen window, thinking about everything that had happened. She had come to Carter Ranch only to talk, but now things felt different. This place no longer felt like a stranger's home. It felt warm, it felt alive, and most of all, it felt like a place that needed her. The next morning, the sun rose over the wide golden fields. Emily walked outside and saw the twins running across the grass. They were laughing while chasing a small brown puppy. Daniel stood near the horse barn, watching them with a gentle smile. When he saw Emily, he walked over. "I'm sorry about last night," he said. "You didn't come here for trouble." Emily shook her head. "That's not why I'm worried." Daniel looked curious. "Then why?" Emily watched the twins playing. "They need someone," she said softly. Daniel's expression be inside the ranch house kitchen. Emily prepared breakfast for everyone. Eggs, toast, and fresh milk from the ranch. The twins sat at the table happily. "This is the best breakfast ever," one of them said. Daniel laughed. "You say that every time someone else cooks." The twins looked at Emily again. Then suddenly one of them asked the question that filled the room with silence. "Emily, will you stay with us?" Emily froze for a moment. She didn't know what to say. The twins looked at her with hopeful eyes. "We like you," the other one said quietly. "You make the house feel happy again." Daniel looked down at the table. He didn't want to pressure her. "Boys," he said gently. "Emily doesn't have to decide anything today." But the twins stood up and walked toward her. One of them held her hand. The other hugged her softly. Then together they said something that touched Emily's heart. "We choose you." Emily felt tears in her eyes. Because at that moment, she realized something surprising. Maybe she hadn't come to the ranch by accident. Maybe she had come because she was meant to be there. Came serious. I know. Later that evening, the sky turned pink and gold as the sun set over the ranch. Emily stood beside Daniel on the wooden porch. "I don't know what the future will look like," she said quietly. Daniel nodded. Neither do I. Emily looked toward the twins playing in the yard. But I know one thing. Daniel looked at her. What's that? Emily smiled softly. I'd like to stay. For a while. The twins cheered loudly. Daniel laughed. And for the first time in a long time, Carter Ranch felt like a complete home again. But far beyond the ranch hills, someone was still watching, and the real challenge for their new family was still coming.